Today I'm going to read out just one message. This is from URI, because we've had messages from England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. And this did make me smile, even though it was at the crack of dawn getting on another coach this morning. And it was good luck for the conference from sympathisers in Newry. Some indignation has recently arisen to the ICTU, their equivalent of the TUC, made a message to the government. He says, he goes on in his message to me, long text, instead of organising a protest against the cuts and promising a programme of action against austerity, our leaders, they organised a family day out with snacks, face painting and tapas. That'll show the government, and indeed he's right. But he's sent a very important message to us, not just that he's unable to be here, but what are the organisations that we're involved with or fighting against? What exactly are they doing when we're in the eye of a storm, staring into the abyss of a crisis not of our making? Well, precious little. Now, beyond the apologies, why are we here today? Well, actually the main reason that I'm here is fulfilling a promise. And the promise on the back of the General Secretary's election campaign, which involved hundreds of people, all of you I know in this room, from leafleting to propaganda to getting the vote out to nominations. But the promise was that after the election there would be something else. And that something else, yet to be determined, would not be my decision, or mine in the chairs and someone else who happened to walk by. It would be our decision, and that promise has been fulfilled today. A long time coming, you may think or may say, but there's only 52 Saturdays in the year. We've picked this one, it's here today, and that's what today is. It's for us to decide if indeed anything that we feel there's a need for. Now, the General Secretary's election just gone. It's worth just for a moment hovering over that election, not the ins and outs of it, or the fact that there were hundreds of officers working against us in this union where fair plays no part. Bullshit. 4 candidates, 3 assistant general secretaries, 1 unemployed 5'2" big ears from Bristol, who was a grassroots candidate. Who actually, if you voted for the one from Bristol who was unemployed, who had no chance, you'd let the right wing in, is always the mantra used by the left. Well, the election it was 52,527 votes. And I'm going to draw your attention to the Workers' Power leaflet, which says 50,000. Well, 50,000 alone would be good, but we actually topped that. And the election itself, because it's not about elections. If it was just elections, be in United Left, that's what they're about. But the election gave us the opportunity of 1.3 million election addresses into the homes of 1.3 million trade unionists, with a very uncompromising platform. Confront the law, a General Secretary on an average wage, all officials elected and accountable, 2 members by members, a member-led, member-controlled, bottom-up organisation. Only support Labour MPs that support our policies. An end to the tens of millions of pounds into the coffers of the Labour Party, where we didn't even get the rights to reinstatement after 13 years. 3 terms of a Labour government. That was our 600-word election address into the home of 1.3 million trade unionists. That was the importance of standing. And we didn't let the right wing in. Of course, we never were going to let the right wing in. The right winger, by the way, this is worth reminding ourselves, Les Bayliss was his name. He finished 3rd, way behind us. And in finishing 3rd, his reward, he's left the union with £250,000 and a pension that you and I could only dream of. He now works for the bosses in construction, a very volatile industry with a blacklist. It was discovered, we all knew of his existence, but discovered within the last 12 months. Union officials implicated, still yet to be named, let alone handing out the union or those that have retired their pensions stopped. We're paying them out of our pockets. They helped to construct with employers' bosses the black list. 3,200 construction workers on it. He's now working for the bosses. That's his reward for finishing third, £250,000 in members' money. And the one that finished fourth was last, by the way. She's been promoted. She's already on a pay package of £138,000. This is a funny one, right? I'm not that funny, I know, but this was good. Anna Hustings. Anna Hustings in Coventry. At least she came. Les Baylis never came to any Hustings. McCluskey wasn't there. David Nellis did the bidding, to his shame, for Len McCluskey on that night. Actually just gave a 5-minute spiel on why you should be a member of the Socialist Party. In fact, had nothing at all in common with Len McCluskey. But Gail Cartmel was there, and I happened to make a point of salaries. Because I said a General Secretary should be on an average wage. I think actually all officials should be on an average wage. It should be a privilege to serve members, that you want to serve members, not simply a career opportunity with a fat salary. And I said that even the Assistant General Secretary on £138,000 pay package, she interjected. She didn't mind me talking about confronting the law or any of the other things. She sat through all that. Or the fact we've not repealed any anti-union legislation, we don't support members who are involved in illegal occupations because of the lifestyles of the officials that it might put in jeopardy. She sat quiet through that, but when I mentioned 138, she interjected, through the chair, I object. I'm not nothing like that. Where does he get the figures from? She said. Well, from the website, after a Freedom of Information request, her very own website that she doesn't bother to read, but it was the indignation of just the fact of her salary pricking perhaps the last vestiges of conscience. Moving on. If we had been smashed in that election, we wouldn't be here today. If we had been smashed in the NEC elections, instead of getting a combined vote of 23,000, and I can tell you that campaign really was put together. I was going to say organised, but somebody corrected me. The 23,000 was fantastic, just think what we'll get when we're organised. 23,000 votes combined of 7 candidates. Had that had been 2,300, we wouldn't be here today. We've earned the right to be here because we are articulating the views of the majority of our members. If Unite, since the General Secretary's election last November, 7 months, unless my maths fail me, if Unite had changed dramatically as a result of that election, if they were leading the struggle against the cuts, if they were now backing workers who had the courage to take on the anti-union legislation, frankly, we wouldn't be here today because they would already be doing the right thing. If the TUC was at the vanguard of against the cuts, perhaps the need would not be here today. But the TUC took 9 months to even organise a demonstration against the cuts. 9 months, you could have a family in that time. I'm not recommending that, it's not one of my propositions, but unless you want to. Unless you want to, of course, and then sign them up to Grassroots Left. There's no age barrier to Grassroots.